we're going to be working with the probe. This is a UNC 12 millimeter probe, which means that it has 12 millimeter markings. All the little lines that you see are 1 millimeter, okay? So first thing with a probe, when you are probing, you want the handle to come out of the patient's mouth. So see how the handle is coming straight out. You don't want the handle to come from the buccal, because remember their cheeks are there. You don't want it to come all the way to the other side. So you want it to be coming straight out. However, when you are working on the very last molar behind, you do have to kind of turn the probe handle a little bit more. But typically, all your handles should be coming straight out. Make sure you establish a good fulcrum. Make sure you have everything right. Remember that fulcrum finger is straight. When you are probing, let me get close here. Another thing that you want to look at is you want to make sure that you're always in constant contact with the tooth. So you want the instrument to rub the tooth at all times, okay? So you also want to look at the angulation too. So you don't want your probe to be rotated too much. So you want it to be as parallel to the tooth as possible. So I'm on the buccal aspect right now. So right on this buccal aspect, my tooth is pretty parallel to the tooth. So you don't want it to tilt sideways or tilt backwards. You want it to lay pretty well. Now, once you get to the distal, like I'm on the distal, I'm tilting the probe slightly so it follows along the root surface. So remember, the coronal surface of the tooth is wider than the root surface. So in order for me to go below the gums and still be in contact with the tooth or the root surface, I need to angle my instrument slightly because the root orientation is different than the coronal orientation. So when you do probe, you start at the distal buccal line angle. You insert your probe very gently. You insert your probe to the junctional epithelium. You'll feel a little band of resistance. That is called the junctional epithelium. I'm on a typodont, so typodonts don't have a junctional epithelium, but typically on a real patient, you just insert very gently until you feel resistance. Probes do have a rounded end, so that end is called the nib. So again, start at that distal buccal line angle. So let's start at the distal buccal line angle. I'm getting closer here. And we use walking strokes with the probe. So we're just going to walk the probe distal buccal line angle, go into the distal, keep walking the probe until you hit the contact. So you have the contact between two teeth. Right now, my contact is between tooth 2 and tooth number 3. Now that I've hit that contact, I tip slightly into the coal. Once I tip into the coal, get my readings, I come out completely, start back at that distal buccal line angle. Now I walk my probe all across the buccal surface. Keep walking, grabbing your readings. Keep walking until you hit the contact. Now I'm hitting the contact between tooth number 3 and tooth number 4. Now that you've hit the contact, tip slightly underneath the coal. Come out and go to the next tooth.